Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 6 Things We Learned from Swindon Town 1 at Bradford City 0. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could join at 80 likes on today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are now on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Get commenting as well down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your thoughts on yesterday's win. Obviously a first win in 3 or 4 matches, it's something like that, a big win as well. We needed it. After changing manager in midweek, Kevin McDonald took over as a player, coach, interim manager thing. I don't still really know what to describe it as, and we managed to get the win. It was a pretty good performance as well. You know, it was one of the best performances we've seen in the last couple of years, if we're honest. You know, attacking football, pressing from the front, winning the ball back, creating chances, defensively looking pretty solid as well. Yes, we rode our luck at times, but overall we managed to get the job done, and it was a big 3 points. And obviously McDonald has said he doesn't want the job on a full-time basis, but we carry on playing like this, and I don't think there's any reason as to why we shouldn't be trying to convince him to do so. Now, it is hard to judge off of just one game, and also Swindon were a team who wanted to come, have the ball, and wanted to play their way. I think they had 60% of possession, and they're not generally the teams that we've struggled against under Mike Hughes. It was more the teams that come in, sit in a low block, and we have to try and break them down. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on over the next couple of weeks, but our fixtures don't really get much easier. Obviously, we have a Papa John's Trophy game, EFL Trophy, I think it's called now. I'm pretty sure Papa John's are no longer the sponsor, on Tuesday night against at Grimsby Town. I'll be interested to see if we do make any changes for that. But obviously, I am all alone this week. There's no guest, unfortunately, for this week's 6 Things That We Learned. But hopefully, from next week, like what I said in the video that I uploaded on Friday, from tomorrow, as in Monday, all the videos on all the channels should be hopefully back to normal now that the dust has settled with life and everything like that. But we'll start out then with the man at the moment, the star boy of the moment, Bobby Poynton. It's another green box for him. Back in the team, back in the fold, scores the winning goal, his first senior Bradford City goal, and it wasn't just the goal, it was a brilliant performance from Bobby Poynton, a very impressive display, quality on the ball, pressing from the front as well. You know, he had to do a lot of hard work, a lot of legs, a lot of energy in there, and I thought personally he did have a really good game. I was very impressed with Bobby Poynton. I'm absolutely over the moon for him to get his first senior goal, and he's probably worked so hard to not only get into the first team, but to be playing, I would like to say, week in, week out now. You know, he's proven in the games that he has played. I think it was against Harrogate, he had a bit of an iffy game where he wasn't really involved all too much, but apart from that, he's been brilliant in every game that he has played, and it's so good to see players coming through from your own academy who are Bradford City fans, who have been in the stands, scoring goals and playing really well. Obviously, he got the sponsors at Man of the Match once more, and I think any time that he has a half-decent game, he probably will get the Man of the Match because he is a boyhood fan of the club. You know, he's come through the academy, but I wouldn't say he was my personal man of the match, but I think he certainly, I can understand why he's been given it because of such a big moment, which he massively deserves. You know, he's been brilliant in the games that he has played so far, and he's just really enjoyable to watch. You know, he's not the most direct winger who wants to get the ball, take players on, but he's so intelligent, so clever in his play. He links up very nicely. Outstanding footballer. Absolutely has to be a green box with Bobby Poynton. I thought it was absolutely incredible. Next up then is Andy Cook, and I've gone with a yellow box for the big man. Now, I thought his overall general play wasn't as good as normal. You know, there were a couple of headers and challenges where I thought he could have done a little bit better with. The referee didn't exactly help him, if I'm being honest. There were a few times where he was getting completely manhandled and the referee was giving him absolutely no support, but his finishing in front of goal was really poor. He hit the post from a shot outside the box just after we scored, but he had 2 really good headers, especially the one in the first half, and neither of them hit the target. Their keeper didn't seem particularly great. He made a half-decent save from Wilson outside the penalty area, but that was, you know, very far out, and you'd expect your goalkeeper to save that. But Cook had a poor game in front of goal, and thankfully it hasn't cost us, but it is still something that we do need to discuss, because I thought his overall play, you know, like I said, wasn't the greatest. It wasn't awful. He certainly had worse games, but it wasn't really going for him, and we all know what happens with Andy Cook. When the first half an hour doesn't really go his way, the remainder of the game isn't the best version of Andy Cook, and he needed that goal, I think, in that first half to really kick on. He could have had a hat-trick on another day. He does genuinely get 3 or 4. We should have had a penalty as well. Poynton was cleaned out in the first half. It was like he got kung fu kicked, and that could have obviously potentially been a goal for Andy Cook, and that would have maybe boosted his confidence to go on and get a couple more. In the end, it didn't really cost us all too much, but it would have been disappointing if we'd have come away from that game with any less than 3 points, with how big them chances were for Andy Cook. And I just hope that it was just a bad game rather than a bad spell, because this season he hasn't been as clinical as what he was last season. Yes, he obviously scored his hat-trick against Newport, and he has had a couple goals since then, but it was quite frustrating. I mean, we know he's got that in his locker. He scored a brilliant goal on Tuesday night against Tranmere, fantastic header. But in this game against Swindon, his finishing was quite poor. And like I say, I hope it's not a long-term thing. Hopefully it was just a one-off and hopefully it doesn't continue for the remainder of the season. Next up then is Richie Smallwood, and I've gone with a green box for Bradford City's captain. Kevin McDonald spoke highly of him post-match, saying that whilst McDonald is in charge, Smallwood absolutely has to play because he's so clever, intelligent, knows when to take tactical fouls, knows when to knock a ball in the channel, and I thought it was one of his best games in a Bradford City shirt. Absolutely outstanding. Now, I've not been someone who's been on his back as much as maybe other supporters, but for me personally, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I was really impressed with Smallwood, and I think it's clear to see that it was Hughes who was holding him back rather than that's just genuinely Smallwood's game, because he didn't really pass back all too much. I think the first time he did it was in like the 83rd or 84th minute, which even still got sarcastically cheered, or there was a large number of fans who made a noise in reaction to that while we 1-0 up trying to control the game. So I didn't really understand that. I've seen a few people saying it was more sarcastic, but it certainly didn't seem that way, certainly from where I was sat. But Smallwood, his all-round game was just brilliant. You know, sometimes it can go a little bit unnoticed for a holding midfielder, but I thought generally his overall play was very good. And his set pieces, well, I think he only put 1 or 2 set pieces in. They were pretty decent, and overall it's just a very, very solid, good game from Smallwood, and I really do hope that he keeps it up. He seems that he's taken getting dropped by Mark Hughes on the chin a little bit, and he wanted to maybe prove a point today, prove that it was maybe Hughes who was holding back rather than himself, and that's just his game. And I thought he had a really, really impressive performance and absolutely deserves a green box for me. Moving on then into box number 4, and I have gone with Emmanuel Emenike as our next talking point, and I've gone with a yellow box for him. Obviously came on off the bench, a man who's not really been involved in the squads all too much over the last couple of weeks really under Mark Hughes. He was brought back into the squad for Kevin McDonald's first game in charge. Obviously we've got a number of injuries and unavailabilities at the moment, so it did make sense. He came on off the bench. I think he was our first substitute. I think he came on for Adam Wilson, if I am not wrong. Came on, played left wing, then he played as an attacking midfielder as well. I think when we made our second or third change, I'm not really too sure. I think it was actually the third change. And Emenike is, I mean, I'd like to say he's hot and cold, but he's a little bit lukewarm and cold. He has some very rare good moments, and then he has a lot of bad, frustrating moments. Like, I remember particularly there was one moment where he had the ball on the right side of the penalty area, driving forward, beats 1, beats 2, has all of the far post to aim for, and if he just passes it in, it's going to go into the back of the net, and he tries to cut it back and pull it back to the front post, and he scuffed the shot, and it's just dragged wide. And I just think, how have you even managed to possibly do that? And then there's moments in the game where he'll try and do a skill or try and take on his man, he'll fail to do so, and then he'll just give up. He has no desire to then try and win that ball back, and that is the thing that I think is really frustrating and annoying, in my opinion, is when you can see players like Gilead and Smallwood and a number of other players who have been there from the start since the first whistle, and even in the 85th, 90th minute, you know, they're grafting to get back and win the ball back, and you see Emenike just walking back or doing a very slow jog. And there's been a couple times now this season where players like Stubbs and Gilead have actually, you know, given Emenike a little bit of a telling off on, or that's certainly what it seems like from the stands, because he's been a bit lazy, or he's not tracking his men, not tracking his runners, and I think it is quite frustrating from a player and also the fans' perspective as well. I have no problems with him trying to take players on and, you know, trying to beat players, but if it doesn't come off, you have to then show a grit and determination to try and win that ball back, and I just don't quite think he's doing enough at the moment. I think there is a good player in Emenike, I really do, but he just isn't showing it right now. I don't think he's got a goal contribution in a Bradford City shirt. Yes, he obviously had his long-term injury last season, but that's well behind him now. We can't be using that as an excuse for him. He simply just needs to be better and he needs to be working harder. I know he's not been involved in the squads, and you could potentially say it's match fitness and match sharpness, but at the end of the day, you've just got to push through that pain barrier. And Emenike, for me, I think he's lucky that he's got a yellow box here. If it wasn't a 1-0 win and it wasn't a victory, he could have been looking at maybe a red box, if I am being honest. Moving on then into our penultimate box, and I have gone with Alex Gilead as our penultimate talking point. I've gone with a green box for Alex Gilead. I could have spoken about Brad Halliday, I could have spoken about Sam Stubbs, but I've pretty much spoke about them too in every episode that we've done so far this season. Gilead, I thought we'd change it up a little bit, and he absolutely deserves it. Fantastic once again from him yesterday. Obviously dropped on Tuesday night, which concerned me a little bit, and we looked like a little bit lost in that midfield with Daniel Ugoke playing in central midfield, which I thought was crazy. He actually made another appearance appearance in a different position for Bradford City. He played on the wing yesterday, which was, again, a very interesting decision, but he didn't work too bad, to be honest with you. Gilead, though, just very good. Lots of legs, lots of energy, and some quality on the ball. It was a nice, tidy performance from Gilead, and I was really impressed with what I saw from him. They're the sort of performances that we expect to see from Gilead, and I think there's a one point later on in the match, I think he tackled Dan Kemp. There were a few really good recovery tackles from Gilead, and he's driving forward with the ball. He eats ground so well. We broke forward with the ball. I think we created a half chance from it. Didn't quite make anything too clear cut from it, but they're the sort of runs and drives that we expect from Gilead. While Smallwood is your more dictator, winning the ball back type of player, Gilead then has to be the legs and the energy in there and drive forward and get goal contributions. And I think we need to see more of them surging runs forward from Gilead, because he is a good player and he's a very good dribbler with the ball. You know, he can keep that ball very nicely. He's a good passer of the ball. I just think he sometimes needs a bit more confidence to want to go and, you know, try and take players on and go forward with it. I know it's hard being a central midfielder in a double pivot because you're a little bit scared of losing it, and then the defence behind him is not the quickest. You know, he then has to be the recovery pace as well in there. But Gilead, for me, had a really good game, and I think he deserves his plaudits. You know, he has had a bit of stick from Bradford City fans over his various periods and, you know, tenures at the football club, but recently, from what I've seen from Gilead, I have been quite impressed. And I remember, you know, away at Newport a couple of weeks ago, absolutely brilliant. Again, in this one against Swindon, very, very good, positive game from Gilead, so that's why I've gone with another green box for him. And we move on then to our final box. Obviously, with me doing this episode on my own, the episode is much shorter, so I can only apologise. But next Sunday, where we play away at AFC Wimbledon, the 6 things that we learn from that game, which is obviously played on the Saturday. I didn't want to confuse you and think the game was played on the Sunday, but when that episode does come out, it should hopefully be back to normal. Hopefully all the upload times will be back to normal as well, and I can only apologise at this moment in time, but please bear with me. Kevin McDonald, though, he's our final box, and he is getting a green box. A manager who got his tactics spot on. He knew what it meant to the Bradford City fans, what they wanted to see, and Mark Hughes said, every time that we lose, we're going to get booed, and it's simply not true. Even if we would have lost yesterday, the players would have still been applauded off, they were still being clapped off, because that's the type of performance we want to see. Attacking football, playing on the front foot, pressing, not worrying too much about the opposition as well. You know, that performance was exactly what we want to see at home. Having shots, creating chances. These are things that we've not seen all too much under Mike Hughes. The football was so poor and so boring to watch under Hughes. I was really, really excited going into the game, and I was excited with the product that McDonald did manage to produce. And I don't think it is just McDonald. I think that some of the senior players in the squad have probably had a word with McDonald saying, you know, this is how we want to play, this is Bradford City, and I was just really impressed. He got his tactics absolutely spot on. If we're going to play like that every week and we're going to play that well and create that many chances, it is a shame that he doesn't want the job on a permanent basis, but he's also still a very, very good footballer. You know, he's still got another, 20 months, 19 months left at the football club, and I think he's set out a good blueprint for the next manager to come in. All they need to do is watch the performance that McDonald has put on display. You know, the players have executed his game plan absolutely superbly. That is what we want to see as home fans watching Bradford City at Valley Parade. Yes, away performances are a little bit different. You have to be a bit more defensive, a bit more conservative, because the home team, it's on them to take the game to you. But McDonald got his tactics absolutely spot on. Everything about the game was nearly perfect. I was really, really impressed. You know, even some of the substitutes at times I'd have been like, oh, why is he bringing him on for him? But it seemed to work. McDonald seemed to know what he was doing, and it's really crazy that someone of Mark Hughes' playing and managerial experience couldn't see the problems with Bradford City. But Kevin McDonald, who's only been here as a player for like 3 months, 2-3 months, something like that, and obviously as a manager or interim manager for like 3 days, can see it. It was really, really concerning. I don't think Mark Hughes will get another job in the Football League, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's a good enough manager, if I am being honest. Obviously had a great playing career, completely irrelevant though when it comes to being a manager. But anyway, I am going to leave it there though for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 80 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are now on the road to 8,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Get a comment as well down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your thoughts on yesterday's 1-0 win over Swindon Town. Thank you all very much for watching today's video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one. Peace.